Good morning, it's Evelyn and it's probably about 7:45. I'm running a little bit late. Actually, it's 8 minutes to 8. I'm supposed to leave at 8 o'clock. Gotta go quickly make my coffee, pack my bag. But it's virtual London Marathon day today. So getting ready to go. It's raining like cats and dogs, as they say. But yeah, see how we do. Not sure how much I'll get. I'm on my GoPro today because I'm actually doing a race. But I'm not sure how much I'll get it out because it's supposed to be chucking it down. But I'll try and get some clips en route where I can. And yeah, we'll see. All right, take care, bye. Hi guys, guess what I did? I'm ready to go. It's 27 minutes past 8, 3 minutes and I'm starting. But I left my GoPro on the side. So unfortunately no footage because I need to keep my phone battery powered for the app, so I'm not going to be taking, and it's raining, so I'm not going to be taking it out so much. So sorry, I'm so gutted about that, but anyway, and also no music because I don't want to waste any battery. But yeah, it's raining, not that heavy so far, but you can hear it's starting to get heavier. But anyway, wish me luck. Off I go. Talk to you later. Bye. And so it's the morning after. You've seen earlier that I unfortunately didn't take my GoPro out with me. I left it on the kitchen sink, basically. It was all ready because I normally put it in here on my bra strap because it's easy to get out. But I don't know, I must have been in a rush or something, but I took everything else and just not that. So nothing on the road, but I'm not sure how much I would have got it out anyway because it was miserable with the weather the whole time. As you know, I set off to get to the park, Wardown Park, which was my starting and ending point and where my loops joined into. So I got there about 8:15 and put my numbers on the back of my hydration pack and my top. I didn't want to wear a rain jacket because I don't really have one that's very waterproof, the one with the hood. And also I was already wearing a t-shirt and long sleeve underneath, so I thought that would be sufficient. It wasn't that cold to start with, but I thought when I got wet, I probably may get a bit colder, but as far as I could tell, I didn't think that would be the case. I'll just be soggy and wet the whole time. I did bring a change of clothes with me, both a change of running tops if I really needed to change it, and some trainers as well, dry trainers, but I forgot socks. So I didn't check everything properly. And also for when I actually finished the race, I had a jacket, a bigger sweatshirt and things like that. So I also had some cookies for a treat when I finished, which I didn't eat. So I started my watch and app off at 8:32, I think. My plan for the race was to run it alone. It's still COVID times and I'm still worried about running with other people. So I didn't actually arrange to run with anybody, but my friend Barbara, who you've seen on my Barbados race recap, she said she would run with me, and also Lucy, who I've been running every week. Most of my long runs I ran with Lucy, and I've been doing my 5K Saturday not park runs with her as well. And she was going to run with me for the second loop as well. So I did have support running wise for the second loop, and then in the end, the third loop as well. But the first loop, which was going to be the longest, I was running alone. That went well. I had to stop and walk at about 9 o'clock because I normally call my dad every day at 9, and it's sort of a routine for him. He's 83 now, so I check in on him every morning, every evening, and if he needs me during the day, he can give me a call, but he never seems to. But yeah, so I started off my route. I'll put in Relive a little bit later so you can actually see the whole thing. But I started off the first loop, which is 16K. Was supposed to be 16K, but I had to miss off a section of the loop, 3K section, or 2 and a bit section, because of the rain. That would have been really muddy. And my first loop was where all the hills and the back in the, it would have been beautiful if the weather was good, but it's that back in the behind Inspire where the hills are, where we run and do our club runs and stuff like that. It's beautiful, Warden Hills. but I had to cut that bit off because I did start going that way, and I thought if I get there and it seems okay, as in the paths seem okay, I would do that loop. But when I started going up to join it, it was muddy. There was this little brook, I'm gonna call it a brook. I don't know what it is, but I think it's where the irrigation from the farmland, where the water is sort of channeling itself in, and it's formed a little waterfall. No, I think I was walking past when I was on the phone to my dad, so I couldn't take a picture at that point. But yeah, that bit soaked up the pathway, made it all muddy and run down towards you if you're walking, running up that portion. So my feet were soggy from about 4k on. But yeah, so when I got to the top where we would join the loop, I decided to definitely ignore it. I think that was in the plan in the back of my mind, because the whole last 3 days it's been constantly raining. Don't know where all this water is coming from. So it was confirmed to not run that loop. So I then followed down to the street, which would have been another 2k, so it's about 5k in all. Then followed down to where some of the striders had set up their own aid stations. I knew the first one I would probably miss because they were going to set up at 10:30 and I was passing around 9:30. But when I got there, you could see them setting up, and I just said, oh, please, can you bring out the Big Ben, because they made a Big Ben so I can take a selfie with it, which I'll put over my face here. And they obliged, so he ran in and got the Big Ben, and he also had a London Underground sign, so that was cool. So I took my selfie with them. Then I carried on down Wigmore up to Asda. Then I saw Valerie. She was doing her run for the day and she wanted to take a picture of me. So I was still running at the time, so it's a bit blurry, but I'll put it in here. Anyways, then I carried on to join the second aid station that was set up by Kate. Past then, and then I stopped for a chat with Kate and Christine, who's our ladies captain of the club. So I took it as an excuse, although I didn't really need to stop at this point. I took it as an excuse to have a little break, have a catch-up chat, and carry on. So that was about 10k mark, 10.5k, and at that time it was 1 hour 26. So that's definitely longer than most of my 10ks, even with me being slow. And that's definitely because I stopped to walk, to talk to my dad, stopped for selfies, and obviously stopped to chat with them. So when it got to about 127, 128, I thought, get a move on. So my plan was, thinking that I was going to do 10 miles or 16k, that it would take me about 1 hour 50 because of the hills. I didn't do the 3k or the 2.5k, but I also was stopping to chat. And I wasn't slow, but I wasn't like my fastest. I think my average was about 7 minutes per kilometer to about 7:20. So definitely slower than it should have been. And then I knew that I was going to meet Lucy for my second loop at around, I said I'll take about 1 hour 45, 1 hour 50. And it was about 1:26, 27. So I had about 20 minutes or so to get there. And yeah, so I was there, I think I was there bang on time really. But I could have been there earlier because of not stopping to chat. But it worked out well. They were waiting for me there, and then Barbara decided that she'd join the second loop, so that was nice. So Barbados girls back together. So I just I didn't need to refuel. Because it was raining and cool, I didn't need to drink as much, so I didn't really need to refuel at that point. So we then set off. Barbara put her stuff in the back of my boot. We did a little catch up and then took the pictures, and then set off for the second loop. So the second loop was due to be going on an out and back up the cycle path, where you may have seen pictures of me with the Eric Morecambe statue. That was supposed to be a shorter out and back of about 11k, but because of the chopping off that mini portion from the first loop, and that first loop only being about 15k in the end, so I wanted to make up some of it on the cycle path. So we was hoping that, because we were at 15, try to get to 7k out, so 22k before we turn around. And the plan was to do that, but we set off, but at about the 21 or half marathon stage, there was a big puddle across the path, and it wasn't walkable. It was walkable, but basically it was up ankle height, so your trainers would have been totally soaked, and I wasn't prepared to be running with soaked trainers. And it's the socks that the worst thing. If they're wet socks, and I didn't have dry socks to change into, stupidly. So there's no point putting wet socks into dry trainers. So I was thinking I'll avoid forcing soaked trainers. So we decided just to turn around at that point. Met up with another group of walkers who were doing the, I think they were doing, not all of them were doing the whole 26.2 miles, but it was about 6 of them doing that run. And they were, some of them were fellow striders too. So it's nice. So I got a selfie with them. We passed them earlier, and it was a great adrenaline rush seeing them all, and they were cheering me through. And I was like joking because I saw one of them at the start, so I knew it was them, but they were sort of separated. So I was like, London Marathon runner coming through. Give way, give way. So jokingly with that. And they were all cheering and everything, so it was nice. It was a bit of a boost. So I was still feeling good at this point, up to 13 miles, but normally I do. It's my best distance. But at that point, it was 2 hours, 40 minutes. So that's again, another 20 minutes longer than normally, but we know why that is. But yeah, feeling good at that point. Seeing people was good at that point. And then on the way back, I then stopped to take the selfie with them as well, because we were sort of walking by then. So we headed back, and probably from about 25k, I was starting to slow down. I was feeling the hills much more. I wanted to keep doing them. As I said in a previous video, I've felt so good that I've been able to run hills all the way without stopping, maybe slowing down, but without stopping. So my plan was to keep that intact. So if there was a hill approaching, I would stop to walk before we got to the base of the hill and then run up it. And I was able to do that. So that was good. At this point, I was still able to do that. And that was about the 25k mark. And so we got back to the start point at Wardown Park at about 28k, which was good. I was hoping it would have been 30k, but because we had to stop and turn around at the waterlogged portion of the cycle path, we couldn't make that. So 28k was good. So that means the remainder was about, so we had a 14k to do, which was basically how much that original loop was going to be, because the original plan was 16, 11, 14. So it was 15, 13, 14. So still not bad. So I thought that Lucy and Barbara were going to leave me for the last loop, but so she was going to carry on with me and then drop off when she got to her house. And then I thought Barbara was going to go home from this point, but she ran the rest with me. Thank you so much. I didn't need the push, because I think if it was left to my own devices, I would have probably walked that last 14k, most of it anyway. So she kept me running. She was in good spirits. She shouldn't have been running that long because she had an injury. I think that was her longest run since the injury. I think prior to that, her longest run was about 7k, but she ended up doing 28k with me. Crazy lady. She's as crazy as I am, but it really helped me. So I really appreciated it. I'm checking in with her every day just to make sure she hasn't aggravated anything. But that last loop, after I had to keep walking basically, and after 28k, my hips, my joints were just in pain. Not pain, ache, but it was a painful ache. So not pain where you have to stop, but the aching was so much, it was sort of painful. It was horrible to stop to walk, and it was horrible to start to run. Didn't know what to do, so I started doing walk run basically. So I tried to walk for 150 meters and then run 850 meters at a time. So that sort of helped initially. As the time went, or as the distance went, I got slower and slower and slower. So oh gosh, it was hard work. That was the run. So I was started off slow. I stopped too many times and I got slower as the distances progressed, or as the mileage progressed. In the whole scheme of things, the actual run performance, I was disappointed with myself. I know I can do better. I have been getting progressively fitter over the time since I, had that fail back in mid-May. So I think I was just hoping for better. So I could say blame it on the weather, but I don't know. I wasn't my full running self. I started off well, but stopped too many times. And I really enjoyed the experience. And the app, the London Marathon app, was good for me. Started the app first and then my watch at the same time. Did a bit of walking while I was struggling to put my phone in the plastic bag so it wouldn't get waterlogged and back in my belt bag. And then started my run. So first loop, run, fine. Stopped often, but didn't feel bad in the run. Second loop was good because I met up with Barbara and Lucy's and saw a lot of people on the run, and it was great because I had my number on. People passing by were cheering on and clapping, cars were beeping, things like that. So that was good. That was a good adrenaline rush at those points, and then seeing the girls on their way, that was a good adrenaline push as well. So that was great. So the second portion was good too. And then the third loop, that's when it all went down. So probably my wall, although I've never had to stop specifically because of it, that's when my running went downhill, more run walking, and where I lost most of the time. So the overall run experience could have been better, but what made it good, apart from all the people who were supporting Barbara and Lucy, the app was really good, I thought. Basically, I didn't run with any music. Because I had the app running, I didn't want anything else to take up battery power. So I just had the app running. I didn't have any music. I switched off Wi-Fi as it suggested and just had it running. And every mile, we had either Paul or Steve giving you advice, encouragement, telling you when to drink water or take your nutrition. Also some inspirational quotes, things that happened, history of things that happened in the marathon. And then Paula kept on telling us that we were amazing. So that was good. And they would also tell you at points around the actual marathon, London Marathon course. So when you get to 10K, you're at Cutty Sark. When you got to the half marathon point, you're at Tower Bridge. Brilliant. I think that's what I'm looking forward to running across. So hearing it and the cheering and everything in the background, it sort of made you visualize that you were running the course. And I'm so glad to see, but it's probably easier for them anyway, but I was so glad to hear that when people were tracking you, they could see you running the course, the London Marathon course, so that would be cool. I was hoping that I could replay it with my number, but I don't think it's possible. I was glad to hear that. But yeah, so I think if I was running the whole thing on my own and having that in my ears, that would definitely really help me. So I thought the app was ace. The only drawback with the app was that, I wouldn't say it's a drawback because measurements are always different. Like if you're at a race, your watch generally is different from the actual measured course because you run differently. But because it's both with GPS, I thought it would match. But I could hear at the latter stages when some of the mileage was being announced, you've done such and such miles, it didn't really correlate with my watch. Could be my calculations as well, because I did kilometers and they was in miles, so I'd have to calculate miles to kilometers just to make sure it was valid. But definitely when we got to the end, Paula said, "This is your last mile," and I knew I had about 2 miles to go, 3.2, at least 3 kilometers to go. And then the mile, if she announced it as a mile to go, and actually when the mile should have completed, it didn't happen at that time. So I don't know whether it's synced up better once you get to the end. And then when it did go off to say, "Congratulations, you've not won. Congratulations, you finished the London Marathon, a special occasion, the very first virtual marathon. You've been one of those who, the only people to run it in this way, blah, blah, blah," which was good to hear. But on my watch, I think I was still at 41.2 6 kilometers, which meant another 800 meters to go. There was a mismatch in the timings there, but not too much, but that was a hard 800 meters, but probably encouraged me to run a bit faster at that point. The last 3K were not my fastest, but in that last third after 20K, I think they were my fastest kilometers. So the app I thought was good. I've seen a lot of people complaining that they couldn't get it starting or it freezing or things like that. But yeah, for me, I think I was lucky, one of the lucky ones. They did ask you to update it the day before. So if you didn't notice that, maybe that could have been why on the older version. But apart from that, I don't know. But in the end, I was hoping for 5 hours because my last 2 marathons were 4:57 at Belfast and 4:54, I think, at Paris. So I was hoping 5 hours. But I knew, my last 20 mile, if I scaled it up, it would have been 5 hours 20. So in my head, I thought, if I'm running a race, I'll be faster. So 5 hours is a good one to go for. Then I knew I was running slower and I was stopping more, so it's likely to be 5 hours 20. So I was hoping for that. But in the end, because of the elapsed time, it was 5 hours and 48 minutes. Moving time was 5 hours 27 minutes. So that's a better number, but you can't count that. It doesn't count. It's the elapsed time that counts. So Strava shows me at 5 hours 27, but my watch, because I didn't stop my watch at all, showed 5 hours 51. But of course, because the marathon app thought I had done it earlier, 5 hours 48 minutes. So I wasn't happy with that time, but at least it was under 6 hours. But basically it's on par with my very first marathon. So I have a lot to do for the real thing in October 2021. I need to lose some weight. I need to get fitter and faster and need to not stop. But if I'm at the actual race, I probably wouldn't have stopped. So I think I was a bit more relaxed and I wasn't worried about stopping so much. So I shouldn't really be complaining to myself that I was slower because I was, being relaxed during the run. But yeah, during the real race, I probably won't stop as much. Even when I see people I know, I'll probably just wave at them and just stop to walk at the water stations, which is what I normally do at races. So it's likely to be more closer to 5 hours than 6 hours in the race experience. And with all the cheering the whole way, that will help because I really thrive on that. That's my adrenaline boost. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the real thing. I'm so glad to be a part of this virtual and hope it's the only virtual London Marathon. Hope all this thing passes us by next year and we can get back to some kind of normality, whether it's a new normal or not. But I really hope that the London Marathon isn't a totally revised for COVID environment. I would like it to be as close to the normal way of it being run as possible because I just want to have that actual experience and not be denied it. So let's hope we're all well and there's a vaccine by then so everything can get back to, a normal, a new normal. But yeah, so that's my update. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it really. I was just disappointed with the time. But it was good fun. It was a good experience, definitely. And yeah, that's my update. Hope you enjoyed your runs if you ran. I know there were other races on the day. There was a standalone 10K in Luton, virtual ones though. 10Ks, 5Ks. We had a Luton Lions were holding a running weekend of running. So there was 5K, 10K and half marathon and marathons virtually taking place as well. So. And they got to get their medals straight away. Still have to get mine through the post, but I look forward to receiving that one shortly. A good weekend of running. I ran a marathon, so marathon number 8 done. And I count it. It may not be a physical race, but it was well worth doing it virtually. And I hope yours went well. I hope you enjoyed my update. And thank you for watching. Take care, bye.